Hi everyone, and welcome to the new predictions for this week of May 6th. And my predictions are based on astrological transits primarily. And so first let's start with a quick recap of the what happened last week and how did it fare against my predictions. So as far as the predicting the stock market moves, I predicted the correct directions for Monday through Wednesday, and I was off for Thursday and Friday, although I guess you could say that I was correct as far as the direction reversing between Thursday and Friday. So let's see. So as far as specific events that happened last week, as I was predicting, there would be continuing probability of various disasters, and of course anything can always happen, but I did specifically predict for the I believe it was for the weekend, that there would be increased probability of problems with like transportation, some accidents involving either planes or trains, and indeed we just had tragic news from Russia about their superjet, like Sukhoi 100, suffering some problems, and dozens of people died there. So let's see. So other kind of ongoing transits that we have is this Pluto conjunct Saturn in Capricorn that indicates major geopolitical changes, earthquakes, and as I was also saying, I expect that many leaders who have been in power for a long time and or are older to either leave on their own or to be displaced, or somehow basically the power basically will change. And so we had news along those lines. We had this uprising in Venezuela by Guaido, I'm not sure, sorry. So that there was, additional events happened last week, and attempt, I guess, didn't go as well as planned. At the same time, there was also another news from Japan where the Akito's 30-year reign, the Emperor Akito's 30-year reign came to an end, and Naruhito became an emperor. So again, this is yet another leader who has been in power like 20 plus 30 years within the last few weeks, few months, that have basically stepped aside. There was another, there are many large earthquakes happening that I would say more than usual for this week. Again, there were mostly 4 and 5. I'm not sure if I've seen a 6-point something earthquake, but as I was saying, the areas that have been kind of more in crosshairs in, say, April, we will see additional earthquakes or disasters pop up in those around June and September of this year. So, say, New Zealand, I guess Philippines is being hit, perhaps Taiwan, places like that. I also made predictions that are specific for US. I did say that there may be some minor negative news related to businesses, in areas like IT and aerospace. And there was some negative news, continuing negative news, I guess, for Boeing, where their second largest customer is now looking to switch to Airbus. And that second largest customer is Emirati Fly Dubai, Emirati state-owned Fly Dubai. Let's see. And I also predicted that in the US, again, there will be additional increased news on the immigration. And indeed, I saw in the news that there was some headline where Trump apparently seeks to impose new restrictions for asylum seekers from Central America. So I saw that early last week. Let's see. I also predicted, again, increase this year and next year because of these tense aspects between Saturn and Pluto. When they're triggered by either transiting planets, we may expect the sort of increase in various, again, disasters and just problems, weather-related problems. And this last week, the really large, extremely severe cyclone Fani had hit India and I guess Bangladesh. So dozens of people have died, thousands are misplaced. And let's see. I also had predicted that, again, the Pluto-Saturn may be associated with various kind of epidemics, healthcare kind of scares, but on a large scale. And we did have news about, even the week, not this last week, but previous weeks, about sort of resurfacing of measles. And we also had news this last week I guess I wouldn't say it's week specific news, but something that was a headline of that I saw last week, that China's pig, quote unquote, Ebola outbreak is expected to be really affecting the markets. And something like Ebola, or something that's like a really large pandemic, I saw some news, I guess, maybe today, about the bubonic plague surfacing, I forgot in which country, and things of that nature resurfacing that maybe were not there again for a long time. Again, Saturn gives you things that are from the past or last a long time, and Pluto is widespread, basically death. There definitely may be a resurfacing of that. And Capricorn has to do with mountains, but the opposite side of it is actually Cancer. It has to do with farming and food production. So because they're related, they're basically, if you think about a circle, it's not really necessarily an axis, they're like one continuum. So definitely we can see some effect in China, and I would say that's quite a large possibility of continuing problems in the past when there are some severe, not severe, but negative aspects between Saturn and Pluto. In China, we had some events where there were really major floods, and obviously that affected farming negatively. So this could be something, again, along the lines, floods can still come, earthquakes, all of the above, but there may also be just epidemics that affect both, the mining, dams, as well as just the farmlands, through whatever means that basically this widespread disaster, death, or something on a large scale that doesn't come very often. We definitely may see continuation of that. So let's see. And for this weekend, Friday, May 5th, 6th, we have seen, I guess I made predictions actually back last November 2018, about May 6th, 7th, potentially being really like strong market days, strong down days. And curiously, we have seen news, I guess this weekend, Trump had tweeted that he would continue putting on some tariffs on China, and so the Asian markets, today's Sunday night, I already see the news about Asian markets going down, futures going down, and Friday there was really large move up in the stock markets. Obviously you would expect potentially Monday being kind of a reversal from that, but my prediction was pending already back from, like I said, November of last year, where I have mentioned that early this week, specifically May 6th, 7th, will be really tense days with large market drop. So this is a prediction for this week, and it's something that I already mentioned also in the kind of upcoming predictions again for last week as well, and another prediction that I've made already like for a long time was that this week of May 6th, specifically around the 7th through 9th of May, there may be increased probability of major international contracts and agreements reached. So we will see, but certainly it does look like this might be the news that will come this week. So now moving on to May 6th, I kind of already ventured into this. Ongoing prediction is still the same. We have this Pluto conjunct Saturn aspect with this time for the next few weeks with north nodes, or other nodes as well, nodes of the moon. And that indicates, again, heightened probability of some disaster that is either really public, like Notre Dame had burned. It was a public thing that many people were aware of and were affected by, and or it could be something that is televised, that maybe people know about it, or it may happen in a public place. So that is continuing on this week. The highest probability of such events is Monday and Tuesday. Ongoing probability and ongoing prediction for US is about the Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg experiencing potentially health or some other problems in May and June, potentially leaving. And for China, continuing probability of various, again, disasters, earthquakes, problems with Navy or oil, and or pollution, pharmaceuticals, and or kind of arguments over international agreements and trying to expand internationally. I guess all that is kind of going on, I would say, in the background, and it will remain in place for the next few weeks. So for Monday, as I said already this time, and I've posted already on my blog at pilsunga.com back last year, in the fall of last year, I predict that Monday and Tuesday will be strong down days, and there may be concerns about cash availability, about earnings, and kind of an overall pessimistic mood, but also increased focus on anything that has to do with international agreements, but also immigration, lawsuits, any legal kind of issues may come up, like famous lawyers maybe somehow in the news, or some changes in the laws, especially international laws, immigration, travel, long distance transportation, all of the shipments, all of the above, and in particularly either shipments or transportation that involve either air, so by airplanes and or cars and or trains, as opposed to say water. Let's see, there may also be increased focus this week, especially early in the week, on businesses or products that have to do with steel, minerals, metals, ores, various coal, precious stones. So there may be some news about like merger and acquisitions, or changes in how they do business, or maybe some sort of a new process is in place, or maybe a new leader, or perhaps it will be related to China. Some tariffs or something will affect how they function, or also the price of the related products may be affected, and it looks more that the price or the value of related commodities may go down, or at least it will be, those businesses will experience stress. Let's see, and May 6th, 7th, there's an increased probability of hot or dry weather, so increased winds, increased heat, as well as increased probability of accidents involving any sort of mode of transportation, but especially airplanes, trains, cars, and vehicles that travel long distances, especially internationally. So in addition to this prediction just being market down and stress, regardless of the direction, there may be increased market moves. Regardless of the direction, will likely be overdoing on behalf of both sellers and sort of investors. So whatever is done, any decisions that are being made, people will have a tendency to kind of overdo it. So overpromise, or kind of oversell, overbuy, definitely tendency to some excess, tensions, crowd runs through, I don't know, somewhere, some airport or something, and everybody follows and there is a stampede. So something along those lines. So let's see, there may also be an important public announcement related to banks and financial institutions. That's again Monday, Tuesday. And it may be about a new leader or a new project, new initiative, and that may not be perceived by general public as beneficial to them, because they may be seeing it as this either person or this initiative as being too risky, or the process is implemented too early and jeopardizing their savings, or somehow has a negative influence on real estate. So I'm thinking this could be rates related, or just some change in finances or financing processes where it may not be seen as beneficial by an average either investor or just homeowner. So let's see. Additionally, this week through about May 10th and especially May 5th through the 8th, there continues to be an increased probability of earthquake disasters as well as military tensions. And however, the markets, I believe, will turn back up on Wednesday, or at least by Friday sometime. So let's see, on May 7th, 8th, I think it will be Tuesday, Wednesday, I believe there might be increased news about IT, high tech, aerospace, telecoms, electric cars, power companies, social media, online banking, electronic payments, and cryptocurrency. So anything that combines like finance and sort of electronics, or high tech, or in general high tech, and electricity, sort of power supplies. There may be some surprising news related to those. So maybe some rapid developments, things are changing, pace, projects is abruptly canceled, or new projects are started. There are some innovations or discoveries, or there may be interruptions in services like power outages, or Twitter or some company like that. This experiences disruptions, and it's unexpected, and things are on and off, in and out, sort of service in a rapid succession. As I said before, on the 7th through 9th of May, I've made already months ago this prediction that there will be increased probability of news about some major international contracts and agreements. And my thinking is that they may relate to communication and transportation or retail sales, as well as to steel, metals, minerals, mining, large-scale construction, precious stone, and that the value of steel, metals, coal, and certain minerals, as well as precious stone, may be affected to the greater degree than usual, and we may see the drop in value or price. Let's see. So then on Wednesday, I think there was about a 60% chance that the market may actually start going up, and things are looking up. And again, I think that may have to do with sort of international agreements potentially being reached, or there's some positive news about that, or at least decreased tensions. And I still think that we continue the whole week, 8th through 9th. There may still be larger moves than usual, regardless of the direction, but I think it will be down Monday, Tuesday, up Wednesday, Friday, through Friday. And on May 8th through 9th, there may be increased focus on things like, tariffs, but also taxes, loans, debt, rates, as well as nuclear power. And there may also be either news or suspicions about manipulative or secretive activities by either governments or large corporations, as related especially to financial products, services, currencies, rates, and so on. So there may be some negotiations that are ongoing, perhaps even those international negotiations that I just mentioned. But things may be reaching kind of high tensions at that point, and one or more entities, one or more parties, that are involved in those may be kind of putting pressure on each other through means of some financial services, or I don't know, devaluing the currencies. I don't know exactly what you can do, but it may have to do basically with finance, like denying, financing to somebody, or affecting the rates. Basically, flooding, using someone's debt, or, currencies against them, something along those lines, and or just in general, like blackmailing and manipulative or secretive tactics may be in play, and that's May 8th through 9th, as well as there may be increased news again about mining, underground locations, either, say, storages of nuclear fuel, or literally actual mines like coal mines, or places that process like ore or something like that. And then Thursday continuing going up for US, also May 8th, 9th, specifically for the US. In this chart, the transits indicate also increased probability of news about international agreements, and kind of increased news about banking and finance sphere rates, as well as communication and transportation businesses, especially, again, those that involve either air or land, so like cars, airplanes, as well as there may be some news about social media companies. There may be some concerns about profits or earnings, and whether agreements that are made at the time are beneficial for domestic businesses, and or they impact, safety of savings or real estate or homeland security. So farming, so anything to do with like basically stability. Again, it could be bank savings, or could be homeland security, or could be farmers is basically who may be affected. And there may be concerns about either stability or earnings in those areas. Those concerns may likely be minor, so I don't see anything super horrible, but it would be more kind of a evaluation whether or not some agreement is worth it, and whether or not sort of the price is right, and certain services or certain, value of certain, I guess, agreements may be seen as maybe we're paying too much. That's what, folks evaluating it may be seeing, and whether or not basically it is profitable for the US and for specifically domestic businesses. And so finally on Friday, continuing market continues to go up in my prediction, 60-65%. And at that point, again, continue increase on the long-term sort of projects and partnerships. And this time, it is not just international agreements, but it's something that has to do with really long time. And maybe, if they're reached, those agreements are reached, they actually may be long-lasting. And they may, especially if they involve governmental entities, large corporations, and or large projects, such as large construction projects, and farming, real estate, and banking and finance. So if there are major agreements reached around May 10th, Friday, and those agreements are made kind of by those large corporate players and or governmental entities, and they involve, again, large sort of scale projects, these will be actually beneficial for long term, and they have a greater probability of succeeding and being profitable for both parties that will be involved in those. So that's about it. Nothing horrible for this week. I think it will be a drop on Monday, Tuesday, but I think things will recover towards the end of the week. So let's see what happens, and I hope you enjoyed this particular installment, and you continue to come back and watch the new ones, and also visit me on the blog that I have at stelstunka.com. I post my predictions there first, and then I record this video blog. So hope you had fun, and I'll see you all guys next time. Bye!